Hey guys, let's talk about it. Whole Wheat Pete. So, why am I even talking about Whole Wheat Pete in the first place? So, in case you don't know who Whole Wheat Pete is, he's this cosplayer who goes around various conventions, pulling pranks and doing all sorts of comedy skits. Spoiler alert, he's the guy who cosplays Zenitsu and jumps on Nezuko cosplayers. So, I know this is kind of like old news, but I need to get this out on YouTube since it was going around on TikTok. So, here it goes. A couple weeks ago, like around the beginning of October, mid-October, I forget which date it was, there was an incident with Whole Wheat Pete where he and some other cosplayer named Piddy, who's also famous around conventions, posing as Deadpool and going out and doing all sorts of comedy skits. So this happened at an event called TsumiCon, I believe it was, and where these two decided to cosplay two famous celebrities. Piddy was doing P. Diddy, and Whole Wheat Pete was doing Justin Bieber. And if you know the story that happens between those two, then you know. So, obviously, I was not there to see it, nor did I understand the severity of the situation until actually it was posting around on the Instagram stories. But I will show you the story, the snapshot from when it was being shared around on Instagram right now. Here it is. So, going back to this story, they decided to do this comedy skit with Justin Bieber and P. Diddy, and I apologize in advance if I end up mixing the two names to get Piddy and P. Diddy together. I mean, they all sound similar to me, they were going around the convention, throwing money, and I assumed it was play money or real money, I don't know. Again, I wasn't there to see it. But, yeah, they also decided to do skits where they were, like, spraying baby oil and doing some sort of comedy skits in the bathroom. And I'm not going to show the skit of what it was, so yeah, obviously this got on a lot of people's attention, and not in a good way, and it was very controversial, not to mention really offensive, because if you know the story that happened between P. Diddy and Justin Bieber, then you know. And a lot of people are actually speaking up against P. Diddy for all these allegations of what he did to all these minors. So, there's that. And like I said, I didn't understand the whole story behind the situation until I actually looked it up, and it was a lot worse than I thought. And from what I understand, this is not the first time that Whole Wheat Pete has done something like this, because Whole Wheat Pete is famous for doing stuff like this. So a while back, Whole Wheat Pete was also at Anime Expo, which I felt like wanting to meet the guy, and sadly I never got a chance. Granted, Anime Expo was a huge place, and there was a lot of other big conventions and content creators going around that place, and let's just say, for my first time going to Anime Expo, it was easy to get lost. As for any first-timers with big conventions like Anime Expo, Fanime, New York City Comic-Con, whatever. And now that Whole Wheat Pete has gotten himself into this situation, let's just say I've lost almost all respect for him. So after the event, the incidents that took place, Whole Wheat Pete posted a public apology video, which got taken down in less than 24 hours, and I might even show you the clip of it afterwards. But if you're going to be doing a public apology video, the least you could do is, like, keep it up for the entire world to see, not just to keep it up for less than 24 hours. And from what I understand, it was also addressed to only his friends. And a lot of people were, like, deciding to unfollow or even block Holy Pete from all his social medias because of this incident. And from what I understand, this is not the first time that Holy Pete has gotten himself in trouble like this. A while back from, like, I forget what convention it was, there was some incident at cosplayer Yaya Han's booth, or near her booth, where, like, Holy Pete was doing some sort of a pillow fight scene, you know, with, at one of the vendors' tables. Obviously, I was not there to see it either, but I was like, maybe it was just some harmless prank, and maybe he got the permission from the vendors' hall to prove it, from the dealers to do this. But again, I don't know the whole story behind that pillow fight incident, or the P. Diddy and Justin Bieber's story. But and obviously, a lot of cosplayers are speaking up against Holy Pete because of this. Now, obviously, a lot of people are, again, not a lot of people are happy about what P. Diddy, Holy Pete has done, and after looking into the scenario, from what I understand, it was also pretty, there was also some pretty offensive stuff, because the guy, D. Piddy, was, who was cosplaying P. Diddy, was also doing, like, painted his face black. In other words, he was doing blackface. Now, blackface itself is offensive all entirely in itself, so, and for good reasons, because it was seen like complete disrespect. It's now still seen as complete disrespect to the black community, and I would not do something like that even if you paid me. Now, maybe it was okay back in like the 1960s or 50s, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know the whole story behind this, but these days, blackface is seen as completely offensive. And because of this, several scenes and characters in anime had to be taken down because of it. I remember, like, there was this Looney Tunes character, if I remember right, who was, like, representing blackface and all the negative aspects of African Americans. And I still know that Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball was, like, a representation of blackface before her face got changed to purple. Jinx from Pokemon was also like a representative for blackface until, like I said, it was changed to purple. I mean, even on the digital release of Pokemon Yellow version, Jinx's face had to be changed to purple, like the color of my shirt that I'm wearing right now. So now, like I said, blackface itself is still considered disrespectful and still considered even offensive to this day. I mean, and it should be considered completely illegal and immoral. I mean, if you're doing blackface at a convention, that's pretty much a one-way ticket to get yourself kicked out and possibly banned from ever attending the convention ever again, because it is completely racist. Now, obviously, this has caused a lot of backlash from Holy Pete and P. Diddy from these two, like I keep mentioning, and because of this and other sorts of pranks that Holy Pete has done throughout his career, is pretty much considered the Johnny Knoxville of cosplay. I mean, the guy's just was quote unquote a jackass, if you want to put it. Now, going back to what he said about his public apology video, he posted another public apology video, which I believe is still up this time. I could be wrong. I haven't really seen the whole public apology video, and still, the damage to his reputation has pretty much been almost set in stone at this point. A lot of his friends have been distancing themselves from Holy Pete, and some of them are even coming out against being S8, which was the whole entirety of what happened between Piddy and Justin Bieber. And I mean, being essayed, if you understand where I'm going with this, is no laughing matter. In fact, it's one of the most heinous and despicable crimes that you can commit as a human being, and it is rarely talked about. I mean, that's something you can almost never get. You can never get away with something like this. And it's a very serious topic that's hardly ever talked about. One of my favorite video games, Persona 5, the first chapter actually deals with essay, if you understand where I'm going with this. The first boss of the game, Kamoshida, actually forced a student into coming to his office where she was in, quote, essayed, and he even went as far as indirectly threatening her with being expelled. Well, if she didn't show up or even refused. And to make matters worse, that student also, the next morning, the student went as far as trying to commit suicide. Thankfully, Kamoshida is exposed and he confesses his sins after the event of the Palace of Lust arc, and he begs to be turned himself in. But anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent here. I'm just pointing out relatable scenarios. So, has Holy Pete learned from this scenario? I don't know. I guess only time will tell. But in hindsight, if you're going to be doing something that happened between two celebrities, do something that's a little bit more appropriate. Right? And it doesn't deal with serious topics like being essayed, if you still understand where I'm going with this. Now, granted, I've done some things in the cosplay community that I'm not proud of either, and at least I atone for my mistakes. I mean, I remember a while back when the meme was still popular, I was talked into doing, like, what was it, that Super Saiyan Shaggy or Ultra Instinct Shaggy meme that was going around, and because a friend of mine was really obsessive with memes at that time, and I felt like it was getting to the point where it was pretty much annoying everybody at this point. And to tell you the truth, I hated it. Now, and another thing that I'm also not proud of doing is, like, mildly following around some friends from a couple years ago, to the point where it was considered like light stalking, but I mean, in my defense, I was going through the 5 stages of grief at that time, because I was dealing with a death in the family right when my stepmother, because my stepmother passed away right before my birthday, and to make matters worse, I was getting singled out of one of my jobs for coverage, to cover everybody who needed coverage for their shifts, because I was unable to attend work. Like, one person had to take their brother to the hospital for a surgery, another person had to take, like, their daughter to the airport, and the third person had to get called into court, and I was the one stuck covering all 3 of them, to the point where, like, any and all plans to celebrate my birthday that year could not be attempted, and it really, really messed me up to the point where I just wanted to stick close to my friends, to the point where I was afraid to, like, lose them too, just like I lost my stepmother. But unfortunately, that is nothing compared to what Holy Pete did with reenacting the scenarios that happened between Justin Bieber and Piddy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I really hope that he's learned from his mistakes. I mean, because if he's going to keep doing stuff like this, I think banning him from conventions is just not solving the issue here. I mean, if he hasn't learned from his mistakes, hasn't been already. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words here. If anything, if he's like getting money off of this content, I think we should be pushing him to be demonetized. I mean, off of this content. I mean, because, like I said, banning him from these conventions is, again, not solving the issue here. He's just like being an actual villain at this point. And like I said, if he hasn't been a disgrace to the cosplay community already, then than he is now. I mean, I remember, like, there was also, like, this website where, like, he was trying to expose Holy Pete for all his shenanigans and doing all sorts of stuff. Now, granted, I don't think it's up anymore because I heard he threatened to sue him for, like, defamation. I don't know the whole story behind all this, but there's also, like, a TikTok account where it's called Holy Pete Exposure from, like, where they try to expose the worst out of Holy Pete to see him get banned, blocked, yeah, like I said, I mean, if he hasn't been banned from going to any of these conventions already, like FanimeCon, Anime Expo, or several other conventions already, I think people are going to start spreading the word to get him banned eventually, because, again, it's crazy. I really hope that this is a permanent ban if he hasn't learned his lesson already. So, has Holy Pete learned from his lessons? I'm really hoping so, because again, I guess only time will tell, and I'm really hoping that he learns to never do something like this again. I mean, because if you're going to be doing serious issues that happen between certain celebrities, it's going to be like reenacting the Dan Snyder scenario with the Nickelodeon stars all over again. Because this is nothing to laugh at. I mean, because, oh shoot, I'm losing my words again. Granted, this is kind of unscripted, so bottom line is, I really hope that he's learned from his mistakes. So I'm probably just going to wrap up the video here. And I really hope that this is the only time I end up talking about Holy Pete. So if you ever see him on, because I really thought that there was some good in the guy, and I really still hope that there is still good in the Holy Pete, because I remember watching a TikTok video where, like, a family was spending a day at a convention, and one of the kids there was, like, having her birthday there, and one of the cosplayers that she looked up to was Holy Pete for this whole disaster of a dumpster fire between him and Piddy has gotten involved in. And when she actually met Holy Pete, I think he really made her day, because she looked up to the guy. And on Piddy's account, I actually was in one of his FanimeCon videos when I was cosplaying Mega Man, and another friend of mine was cosplaying Vile from the X series, and I think the video's still up. If you haven't already, just look it up. FanimeCon, I think it was 2019 it was. I remember it was sometime before the pandemic happened. But yeah. So will Holy Pete receive this, get the respect back? Probably not. So anyway. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts about the Holy Pete scenario are, and do you think he and Piddy will ever bounce back from this? So I'm going to stop talking right now, and I'm going to post the public apology video that got taken down in less than a day. So leave your thoughts on this entire incident in the comments below, whatever you want. And I'll just leave the video at this. So this concludes my 2 cents about the Holy Pete and Piddy scenario, and I'll let you guys be. Have a nice rest of your day, folks.
This is going to be a public statement for everyone, but especially to my friends and to my fans. I'm going to be reading off some of the thoughts that I've collected, and I'll be sharing them with you now. I'm making this video as a public apology to all of the individuals that I have upset, as well as taking accountability for the content that was recently posted depicting the celebrities P. Diddy and Bieber. During the time that the content was being made, and at the time of posting, The purpose was made for the simple intention of humor. But now I know that I should have done more research into this situation before making content of these celebrities. As soon as my close friends started reaching out to me saying that these videos were not in good taste, I immediately removed them from my channel. When I choose to make content and post a video, the intention behind comedy is that we as a society and as humanity can overcome the fears and the adversity of the real world through laughter and humor. Similar to how comedians on SNL create skits about serial killers or movies that incorporate dark humor, I chose to make an online skit involving Diddy and Bieber with the purpose of joining in on an internet trend surrounding the baby oil meme. I do want to emphasize that I absolutely in no way, shape, or form condone the actions of these celebrities, and I stand with the people affected by these actions. As a member of the cosplay community, we want to make conventions and cosplay content a safe space to express creativity and bring joy to those that consume it. And I really take into consideration how the community feels about my content, and especially my friends, fans, and those closest to me. I want to clarify that it was absolutely not my intention to cause any harm to anyone at the end of the day. And with the feedback that I've received, I'm going to be using this as a learning opportunity to not only better myself and protect this community, but to bolster my content and avoid these situations from happening again. Once again, to my friends, fans, and everyone that has been extremely wounded by my decision to make this content, I am truly, genuinely sorry. I also appreciate all of you guys for taking the time to listen to this statement. At the end of the day, it is obviously your decision on whether or not to accept my apology, but I hope that you guys can forgive me and we can all move forward with this in mind for the future. Thank you.
Hey Mega fans, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, hit the subscribe button, and share this video. It would help me out a lot. Also follow me on my social media such as my Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch channel for my live streams, and more. And if possible, leave a tip to support me on Ko-fi and Patreon. Thanks for watching again, and until then, MLJ signing off. Until next time, MegaLink fans.